Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
When you think about great broadcast teams, you think about teams like Madden and Summerall. I'm sitting here today with the Madden and Summerall, so to speak, of high school football. Welcome to the show, guys.
Well, it's good to be with you.
All right, so it's Jesuit here in Dallas. You guys have been together for 23 years. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been an amazing run. Started in the 1998 football season. I'm Tom Walsh, the play-by-play announcer. Jack Fitzsimmons. Longtime Jesuit employee, is the color commentator, and of course Chris. Both Jack and Chris Martinez is our statistician, and we've all been together since the 1998 season.
And that's just unheard of. I mean, that never happens. Sometimes an announcer will come and you get to like them, and the next season they're gone. They've moved to another school. How did you keep the chemistry alive for 23 years?
Well, we've all been part of the community. I think that's the biggest thing. This will be my 33rd year working at Jesuit. I'm an alum. Chris is an alum. Tom got to be friends of our community through various ways. He can explain that. And so, we're not really looking to move to any place else. I mean, we love doing the games, love the kids, and so it's been a lot of fun.
All right, Chris, let's bring you into this. What's it been like to work with these guys?
It's been great. It's been fun. Later on, we'll probably talk about how Jack became a permanent member right off the bat, because initially the idea was that it was going to be Tom as the play-by-play, and a different faculty member every week was going to be the color guy. The first time Jack got in there, Tom said, no, we're going to keep Jack here the full time.
All right, so there was a great piece done by the Texas Catholic on you guys. We're going to go ahead and roll that tape right now.
Good evening, everyone. Tom Walsh, Jack Fitzsimmons, Chris Martinez. We're speaking to you live from the friendly confines of Postel Stadium, Gary Pasquay Field. It's homecoming. 2017, one of the most amazing weeks of the year around Jesuit. Let me bring in the coach. My longtime broadcast partner, Jack Fitzsimmons, of course, longtime
These 20 seasons have been really, with these two guys, have been very special to me. I'm a lawyer in my real life, but sportscasting is something that I wanted to do since I was a young boy. The first time the three of us were together, it was in Coppell, Jesuit versus Coppell. It was the 1998 season. This is our 20th season together. And Jack and I were standing next to each other for about 60, 90 seconds and going back and forth, and I thought, we're going to do this a while.
I know Tom talked about the fact that he'd always wanted to be a broadcaster. I never thought about that ever. I'm the one in the group that's, an educator, and I've been at Jesuit. This is my 30th year. I'm a teacher and a counselor and coached for a long time. I absolutely enjoy the fact that I may have a conversation with someone in the cafeteria or in my office or in the hallway a few hours before the game, and then I get to talk about them on the radio when they make a good play.
Take the draw play. Parker tails over the middle. Butcher, Rosenblatt in for the score, and there you have it. Nice slant pattern by Fletcher Rosenblatt, a little bit deeper, and was able to come across the middle. When he caught the ball, there was a defender.
Chris Martinez is unparalleled as a statistician. We jokingly and lovingly call him the most celebrated statistician in sports. We call him that on the air because we talk about him so much.
One of the benefits of our broadcast is Chris Martinez and Brian Montgomery keep feeding us great stats.
We gelled fairly quickly, at least for me. Tom and Jack gelled immediately because they're talking, they're bantering back and forth, and I'm at that point in time trying to figure out how am I going to get them this information on a timely basis without interrupting that banter and making it pertinent.
Hey, tell them about your hand signals, though. You're like a third base coach. Tell them about that.
So a lot of times I will tell them third down conversions is this signal, not this, but this, and they are 3 for 7. So so a lot of times, the very first time I did that to Tom, he just kind of looked at me like, "What are you doing?" I have no idea what that was.
Yardage was 42 yards for Jesuit.
I'll just say this. I mean, there's been a lot of sacrifice by all of us, missing some time with family and friends on Friday nights. We love being a part of this program in the small way that we are. And there's just nowhere I'd rather be on a Friday night during the football season than right here with these guys.
Lake Highlands is really stacking the line. They hand it off. B.J. Smith, there he goes. 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Jesuit, 31 yards for the score.
Wow, that was a really well-produced piece.
It was. They did an amazing job at the Texas Catholic. They were great to work with.
All right, when you guys watch that, what comes to mind? I mean,
Well, it just brings back a lot of memories of things that we've done. I mean, we've gone to a lot of places. We've done most of our games certainly in this area, but we've been to Kansas City and done games, Monterrey, Mexico. We even went to Dublin, Ireland when the team went there for a non-district game a few years ago. And so it has been a lot of Friday nights, as Tom said in that piece, but it's been a lot of fun. Tom was very nice to say something about his family, that we've made a lot of sacrifices to be on there on Friday nights. That's true with those two guys. As an employee of the school, I probably would have been there anyway, but it's a lot more fun up in the radio booth.
and we should tell the viewers that you guys don't get paid for this, right? This is all volunteer.
Yep, giving back to the school and doing a good job. Otherwise we wouldn't be here for the 23rd year.
Wow.
I don't think Jesuit knows it, but I'd probably pay them. I love it so much.
If you're watching.
And I'll be getting a call, I'm sure.
Well, so I love the chemistry between the three of you and how you're able to almost anticipate the other's needs. I mean, you guys have a rhythm together, don't you?
Yeah, I would say for sure. We often joke that the three of us can communicate with our eyes. I mean, there are just certain looks that if I somehow misspeak, maybe say the wrong name accidentally, some players come in the game that I didn't see sneak in, I can tell just from a subtle look in his eyes without him saying something, and I can quickly correct it. Or with Chris, I mean, it's unbelievable the nonverbal communication I think we've developed.
Yeah, some of the nonverbal, Tom is on the far right, I'm on the far left, and when the action's down on the right side, so he's turned a little bit, and I need to get to hold of him. Because I can't yell at him because then they'll pick it up.
I think our signals are a little bit more sophisticated than that. No, I was kidding. That's true.
And you're incredibly dedicated. We were visiting before the show, and you told me a story about a time a phone line went out or something like that.
Yeah, you go ahead, Tom.
Well, one time we came to do a game. I think it was probably the 1999 or 2000 season, and this was back when we had to have a landline. We didn't have the technology to do this from our cell phones back then. And we got there, and the phone line was out. It was at Jesuit. I think the phone line had gotten switched over for the phone-a-thon, which is a big thing where they call alumni during a particular week or time. And we're like, we can't get on the air. And so one of the staff members of Jesuit ran to Radio Shack, bought hundreds of feet of phone extension cord, and they plugged it in our press box, out the door, down over a fence, across a river, a creek, if you will, not a river, a creek behind Jesuit, into a house that happened to be the house of the mother of the then Jesuit football coach, Bob Wunderlich, and we used her phone line for the next 4 hours. It was great. And they had people outside saying, don't hit this phone line, because people were having to walk by, and you got these cords going over. It was crazy.
I was waiting for laundry to be put up there.
Yeah,
off.
I was thinking almost like one kid deciding to
or
take you guys up the air.
Someone not paying attention. But we've had all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, Jack will tell you.
Yeah, we've had phone lines that have gone out and wound up passing a cell phone back and forth outside in a stadium. The first playoff game in the UIL when Jesuit joined the UIL in 2004. they didn't have room in the press box, so we were under a portable tent, and it was raining, and we had our equipment set up. So there's a lot of fun stories. I mean, it's just been so enjoyable for us.
And what we found is that when we have those kind of technical glitches occur, and we're passing the phone back and forth, and we bring Chris in. I mean, Chris, we said Chris does the statistics. He does. But Chris gets on the air with us. I mean, he's our third member of the booth, and we're passing the phone. People say they never knew that we were doing that. We'll say, "Oh, could you tell that there was,
Wow.
we're having to?" And people are like, "No, we couldn't tell. You guys sounded great." And so at first we were very paranoid about it, but once we figured that out, when something happens, we just roll with it.
As a statistician, I knew they were doing it because I was watching it, first of all, but then there's a pause in commentating. So it's
Right.
like, when you don't have, just a regular broadcast, it's fluid and it goes quickly, but, second.
Well, tell me this, because I was a news guy and not a sports guy. Do you guys plan ahead a line or a comment that you're going to make, or is it all ad lib?
Well, I would say that it's mostly ad lib. I mean, when we get together, we'll talk about how we want to start the pregame show. We tape a pregame show with the coach, and so for those first 4 or 5 minutes as we lead into the show, we'll talk about that a little bit. We've gotten a lot more sophisticated over the years as well, from having no cell phone ability. We've got a sports information director at Jesuit by the name of Brian Montgomery. He's been there now for 5 years, and there's a 25 or 30 page scouting report that he prepares for both teams, and we have that to study, and he looks at film and trends, and I'm on campus every day, and I'll talk to the coaches or the kids and ask them about things, and then I'll tell Tom and Chris, and they'll look in the paper and pick up little nuggets. Chris used to bring in the early days, cutouts from the newspaper that had certain stats, and so we feel like we're well prepared.
That's awesome. All right, tell us about the pandemic. Is it a game time decision, or what are the plans?
Well, the UIL just came out with, yesterday or 2 days ago, I guess, they came out and said that the schools in the bigger metropolitan areas like Dallas, Houston, where you have a lot of 5A and 6A school, of course, in Texas, high school football, the bigger the school, the higher the A classification. So 5A and 6A are the biggest. Jesuit plays in 6A. They're being delayed by about a month. So our first game was supposed to be August, I think the 28th, if that's a Friday. I'm doing that from memory in Houston, and that's off. We're also supposed to go to week 3 to Austin and play Austin Westlake, which is a fantastic program. That's off. Now, hopefully those will be rescheduled for later in the year, but the first game, either late September or early October.
I think September 25th, the boys are able to start practicing again on September 7th, I believe, and games on September 25th. But, there's been so many changes, we'll roll with it, and whatever's important for the safety of the kids.
Yeah, and the delay this year really helped me out because August 28th in Houston, I would have to explain to my wife, that is our wedding anniversary day, and I don't know how that would have worked out.
Well, probably your ratings and your listenership will go way up because a lot of people, you'll be the only way they can follow the team.
I think that's right. We've talked about that. The UIL, which is the governing body for high school football in Texas, never allows on Friday nights to videotape the game live and stream it. So we're on KAAM, 770 AM radio. That's been where we've spent the majority of our 22 seasons. This will be 23. But this year the UIL has announced that you can stream the video and the audio. So we will do the games on the radio. You can hear us on the web, just audio like always at jesuitrangers.org. And you can watch us with our call of the three of us. So it'll be I think it's going to be a lot of people watching, and you could do the video streaming on Thursday night games. And we've had some games where you'll have an extra 1,000 people watching on the video stream. So it's pretty exciting.
Okay, well, we're almost out of time, so I'm going to give each of you a chance to kind of reflect on the past 23 years and comment on how long you want to keep doing this together.
Well, I tell them I'm on a year-to-year contract, even though there's actually no contract. As I said, I'm the one that's been the Jesuit employee for a long time. I'm not ready to retire yet from Jesuit or from the radio, so I imagine it'll be a few more years. I think we certainly want to make 25 years. so we've got a few years to go. But the important reflection that I have is just the great development of the friendships between us, but also it's just given me one more avenue of getting to know the boys and their families. I mean, it's other than my own family, my Jesuit career has been the most important thing in my life, and so to be with that community like I always am, and be able to talk to the guys before the game, after the game, during the week, and see them develop while they're there, it's been a lot of fun for me.
That's awesome.
Well, for me, I'm on a year-to-year basis as well. As long as I'm having fun, I want to do it. If I'm not having fun, I'll walk away. A few years ago, my wife and I were talking about the fall, Friday nights in the fall for Jesuit. I also do the Cowboy Spanish radio on Sundays. So she asked me, she goes, if you had to give up one or the other, just do one, what would you do? I'd say, I do the high school. And she was shocked. Wow. She thought it would be the Dallas Cowboys.
That's really cool. Tom, you get the last word.
All right. Well, I'll say that I echo what these guys are saying. The friendships have been wonderful. The chemistry we've developed. We do owe a debt of gratitude to our wives and our kids who have all grown up during our times on the radio and have encouraged us and supported us doing it. Brandon Hickman, Steve Cook, Mike Ursing, the president of Jesuit, the whole administration. I've become very close to all of them, and I'm the only non-alum here. But I'm now a proud member of the Jesuit Board of Trustees. Wow. And that's a relatively new thing over the last year and a half, but that has become as a result of getting to know this wonderful institution and the people there from doing the football games on the radio, and it's morphed into this now on the board. So I really value and treasure my relationship with Jesuit.
Wow, thank you. This has been one of my favorite shows. You guys are wonderful. Yeah.
Well, you're so kind to have us. We love your studios.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Well, much luck, and thank you guys all for your service. I know your listeners really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff.
And we're going to put the website up so people can stay tuned. JesuitRangers.org is the website. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.